What's going on, guys? It's Hi, and today we're going to be installing the Injen EVO2300 intake into the 890 Supra. For this install, we're going to first focus on removing the stock intake. Begin by removing the temperature sensor. This is done by pulling up on the gray tab, pressing it in, and then pulling up on the temp sensor wire harness. Next, loosen up the 6mm nut that's holding the intake tube clamp in place. At this point, we can remove the airbox from the engine bay. You can tear the box down further, but I like to remove the entire thing in one piece. The airbox is held in place by 3 rubber grommets, and they like to come out with the box. If this happens, remove the grommets from the bottom of the airbox and place them back into the engine bay, like so. Next, we have to remove the stock intake tube. This is held in place at 3 points. It's difficult to film this part, so I'll take the tube out and show you what to look for. At the bottom of the intake tube, you'll need to remove a retaining clip. The easiest way that I've found to do this is to slip a small flathead screwdriver into one of these exposed ridges and then pull the entire thing out. Save this clip as we'll be needing it later on. The intake tube will also be attached to the crankcase hose. This needs to be squeezed at the knurling, then pulled out. Lastly, there is an electrical wire that's attached to the other side of the intake tube. To get this wire out, you'll have to pull the 2 front tabs down, then push the top back. After disconnecting these 3 things, the intake tube is now free and can be removed. Next, locate the turbo adapter and 3.5-inch hump hose from the Injen kit. Attach the 2 parts together with the provided clamps. Only tighten the clamp on the turbo adapter side for now. At this point, we have to remove the O-ring that's inside the stock intake tube and place it into the groove of the turbo adapter. Be careful with the O-ring. If it's cracked, torn, or just worn out, you need to replace it. Now take the retaining clip that was removed earlier from the bottom of the stock intake tube and reinstall it into the Injen turbo adapter. Make sure that the OEM O-ring and retaining clip are seated correctly. If this is so, we can move forward with installing the turbo adapter assembly into the vehicle. With this, you just have to push it into place. The retaining clip will expand and slip back into place by itself. Double check that the assembly is seated properly and not going anywhere by giving it a little pull. Next, we're going to remove the temp sensor from the OEM airbox. This is held in place by 2 T25 Torx screws. Reinstall the temp sensor into the Injen intake tube. Make sure to use the provided Injen M4 buttonhead screws and do not reuse the OEM screws in the Injen intake. Now we can take the intake tube and attach it to the turbo adapter assembly. Once the two parts are attached, you can tighten the clamp and hold everything together. At this point, you can also attach the crankcase hose into the engine intake tube. Moving to the engine airbox, we're going to install the heat shield to the bottom of the airbox with the provided M6 screws. Next, take the filter and install it into the airbox. Once it's seated, give the filter a 1/4 inch of a turn in either direction to lock it in place. We can now take the airbox assembly and place it into the engine bay using the stock rubber grommets. Once the airbox is properly seated, attach the intake tube to the airbox assembly and hold the two together by tightening the clamp. Lastly, reconnect the temperature sensor harness and we're done. And there you have it, the Injen EVO2300 intake installed in the A90 Supra. With something like this, I typically provide some sound clips, but this Supra is still in the break-in period and I don't want to sit there and just rev it like crazy, so you just have to subscribe for that when I release it. As far as the install, it was pretty straightforward. I didn't personally run into any problems, but if you do and need some help, drop a comment down below and I'll do my best to help you out. If you've enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like and share it around. If you want to further support this channel, I do have a Patreon and a variety of other outlets linked in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.